Like most enterprises, you've got tremendous amounts of data, numerous applications and databases, as well as across files, shared network drives, and workgroup systems like Microsoft SharePoint. While access to application data is often controlled through role-based access control, access to unstructured data such as documents, spreadsheets, and files is typically not controlled at all. This is increasingly recognized as a security and compliance risk for organizations, and can easily lead to a damaging data breach. Let's see how this happens in a typical organization and how it could be prevented. Our story about data risk begins innocently, when an individual, let's call him Joe, creates a SharePoint site to collaborate with his teammate, Dave. If just Joe and Dave can access these files, the step on its own doesn't raise the risk of a data breach, but what happens next typically does. Joe realizes that other people on his team need to collaborate on these files as well, so he gives them access to the folder. The entire team begins using this SharePoint site, and people naturally add new files, some of which unfortunately contain sensitive information. A few weeks later, Joe decides to add a few people from another department to this workgroup, since they're collaborating on the project too. However, because SharePoint Access Control Administration is confusing, he mistakenly grants access to most of the company. The company is at serious risk of a data breach now that this sensitive data is accessible to curious or malicious employees, partners, and contractors, visible through scanning and caching in their enterprise search engine, and readily accessible to hackers through a compromised computer. So what happens next? The choice is simple. Continue with unmanaged access, which will lead to a data breach at some point in time. The bigger the data, the bigger the leak, and the bigger the problem. Or implement a data access governance solution to control access to these sensitive data resources. Begin with data access visibility. By getting a clear picture of who has access to what, you can see the level of risk and respond by removing inappropriate or excessive access. In our story, the information security team would now be able to easily see who and how many people can access these files. Then add in proactive access control by enabling business, not technical people, to regularly review and validate that users have only appropriate access to data resources. In our story, Joe would regularly review who has access to his team's shared files, and can quickly identify anyone who doesn't belong for removal by IT. With a solution like this in place, Joe and his organization can be confident that only the right people have appropriate access to this sensitive data, ensuring that our story has a happy ending. Find out how Avexa's data access governance solutions can help you make the right choice and reduce the risk of a breach in your environment by visiting avexa.com/dag.